G'day guys, my name's Alex, welcome to the Axe Physio channel. Today I'm going to take you through a game day warm-up for a rugby player. So if you're someone that gets to the field and your coach doesn't really know what he's doing in regards to a proper warm-up, here is something that you can do as an individual or with some of your teammates to get yourself ready before you start doing hitting bags and tackling drills and getting into your shape prior to a game. So we're going to take this into a few parts. We're going to go for a basic dynamic warm-up, go through some mobility drills, and then go through some running mechanics. After that, I would then have a quick break for a few minutes and then go into things like your tackle bags, your shoulder prep, and then also getting into your shape. So this is that first part of the warm-up that I'll get a lot of my rugby players to do before they get on that field. So by the time you finish watching, guys, you'll have a really good idea as to what a game day rugby warm-up should look like for a rugby player. Okay, guys and girls, let's get into that video.
So you've just popped your boots on, you've got to the field, you've got your kit on. We're now going to go through some run-throughs. So we've got the whole pitch, just going to go up and come back, about 100 meters or so. And then we're going to go into our run and skip throughs in this 20-meter grid. So all these exercises that you're seeing is in a 20-meter grid. After I go up and come back from a few skips just to get myself loose, I then open the gate and close the gate, making sure to drive my knee up as high as possible to open up my hip. A lot of people can get a bit stiff in their hips, and it's just trying to make sure that if you're a prop, you've got that ability to get down in the scrum. If we're rucking, we can get low. So closing the gate to finish off, just to get our hips moving. I also think it's a great way to start calming the nerves as well. I then go into an athlete lunge. This is just into a lunge, driving up into a triple extension. You see I actually go backwards a little bit because I'm snapping my knee shut. I'm up on my ankle and my hips are through. So triple extension means the ankles, knees and hips are locked through. Side lunge, once again, opening up the hips, but also getting the quads working. Little bit of just stability work here, trying to get my balance right, opening up the hips, driving with that lead leg. So the leg that goes out to the side first, so my right leg here is doing the work to get myself back up. You don't want to drive so far that you can't actually drive back up, so make sure that the step you take is only so far that you can actually get yourself back up again. Here we're going for a kick march or just a Frankenstein walk where we're swinging that leg through. The knee does not have to be locked, but we are trying to get our hamstrings to switch on. If you wanted to hold onto a wall and just do swing throughs, that is acceptable as well. But I like these because you have to be really active and open, and you're also getting a bit of lumbar spine rotation in there as well. I like this as a classic. It's a sumo squat. We get down nice and deep, opening up the hips, using our quads, starting to warm up that lower body. It's really important that we are nice and warm in our legs, in our hamstrings, in our quads, in our calves, because as rugby players, we do get soft tissue injuries. So we want to make sure that we're nice and warm in that quick little dynamic warm-up. We're now into our second phase of this warm-up. We've done our run-throughs, our walk-throughs, and we're now getting into our active mobility. So this is a Spider-Man. It's a hip flexor and hip opener. It also adds in the thoracic spine with the twist there. Pop the leg out in front. You can rotate both ways. You want to be active in this stretch so we're not just passively relaxed on the floor, we're actually holding it. I then go straight into a squat hold. I'm exploring that range of motion. Once again, opening up my hips, getting myself in that position to just open up a little bit. I'm then going into a hip flexor and hammy stretch. So I tuck my pelvis underneath myself and then go into a hip flexor stretch and then back into my hammy stretch. So I'm constantly tucking my glutes, squeezing my glutes. I'm opening up my hip flexors and my hammies at the same time. Love this exercise. It's a great way to get the hammies and hip flexors nice and warm and moving. Up next, we have a rollout, rolling onto your back, forcing yourself forward so your abs are working, your lumbar spine is flexing, you're stretching your hamstrings, and we're opening up our hips. As you can tell by that mouthful, it is just a great lower body dynamic exercise to get yourself moving. You can do more of these reps if you need to, but this is just me getting through it quickly. So hammy flicks into a straight leg raise into a single leg glute bridge is a great combination to warm up the posterior chain. The hammy flicks, which is when we hold onto our knee and flick the leg up, is more for that distal or bottom part of the hamstring behind the knee. And then our straight leg raise is more for the hamstring that comes up and inserts into your bum. So it's the top part of the hamstring. The single leg glute bridge is obviously more just for warming up the hamstring. So the hammy flicks for that hammy that inserts into your leg, so it's the distal part. This straight leg raise is more for the parts of the hamstrings that come into your butt. And then the single leg glute bridge is to warm up the glute and the hamstring. This is my favorite 3 exercise combination to warm up that posterior chain. So moving up from the glutes and hamstrings, we're going to go to our lower back. These lumbar rotations are a great way to warm up the lower back, get yourself some extra movement in there. Lumbar rotations are a great non-provocative exercise for most grumbly lower backs. So great one for anyone that does suffer from a little bit of lower back stiffness or back pain during a game or after a game. Conversely, if we want to get into more extension range, scorpions are good. However, for some people this may be more provocative, so stick with your rotations on your back if you want to. I personally like these ones, but I do understand they're not for everyone. Push-ups are a really easy way to warm up your shoulders, but change the angle of your hand position. So arms in by your side is obviously going to be more tricep. If we go slightly wider, it's going to be more shoulder dominant and pec dominant. So change the position. I like these shoulder foot taps because you can actually use your body weight to load up your shoulders in different ranges of motion. As you can see, as I tuck my head, it's like I'm in a shoulder press position. So it's a great way to start warming up different parts of the rotator cuff and your deltoid complex. When filming this, I did forget to add in the calf pumps as I was working my way up the body. So add in your calf pumps. You can do pogos instead if you don't like this position, which is just the hopping that you've seen in some of my other videos. Great way to warm up the Achilles, great way to warm up the calves. Can't neglect it. To finish, we're going to go for a bear crawl. Great to get that body height, great to get on the ground and in that hinge position. So excellent for scrumming, excellent for rucking, excellent for tackling. We always need a strong hinge drive position as rugby players, especially if you're in the forwards, because you're going to make most of the back's tackles, and I am a back, so I have no problem in saying that. So we're now in phase 3 and the final part of the warm-up. This is our running mechanics. This is a very quick version. So A skips, exchanging in the air, warms up the calves, gets ourselves snapping in that athletic position, is going to make us better for our running. B skips to warm up the hamstrings and the calves. This is a great way to snap those hamstrings down and replicate what we'll be doing when we're sprinting. Really important to do this before we start doing any speed work. So make sure that you're kicking out, snapping your heel and foot back underneath your center of mass. Another hamstring exercise, which are scissors. As rugby players, we do suffer hamstring strain, so it is important to warm up your hammies before you start sprinting. From here, we're going into low ankle dribbles. So we're just trying to cycle around like a bike. We're doing circular type motions with our ankles, small contacts with the ground. We're trying to stay up as light as we can, exchanging over, lots of little touches with the ground. We then get into a dribble bleed where we start making bigger circles with our feet, and then we expand out, getting faster and bigger with our circles to get out into that sprinting motion. From here, we can then go into some run-throughs. Start light, increase your speed slowly. I would say no more than about 5 20-meter run-throughs at varying paces, 60%, 70%, 80%, up to 90% for maybe 2, and then you're done. If you're still watching, guys, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel. And if you want more specific help and rugby programming, go to my website and check out my programs there. All right, guys, thank you very much. I'll see you in another video.